we are discussing about teaching learning method in EVS. So today's method is field visit. As the name suggests, field visit is a visit outside the classroom. Is it picnic? No, it is not a picnic. Then what is it? So today's presentation we will discuss what is a field visit and how field visit is used in the classroom. To begin with, objective of this session is to explain the field visit method for teaching learning of EVS and to use the field visit for teaching learning of EVS. So, before going into the field visit, let's have a discussion on what are teaching learning method. When we decide that this content is to be taught in classroom, at the same time we start thinking about how to teach that content in classroom. You, as a teacher, you may come up with different ideas. You may think that I can show something to students in the classroom, I can organize an activity in the classroom, or I can draw pictures and encourage children to observe that picture. So, I can say that teaching learning method is a method decided by the teacher about how to present that content in classroom. If the choice of teaching learning method is appropriate, then learning becomes more meaningful for children. Every method, there are different methods and every method has its own merits and challenges. So as a teacher, you need to weigh what are the advantages of using that method and what are the challenges. Depending upon your educational objectives, you can decide about the method. Choosing a method will have two main points. One is the content to be taught. That is very important to see that which method is to be used. For example, if I want to study plants in the school garden, then I may decide on the observation method and take children to the school garden and children will observe plants. If I want to see solubility of different things in water, then I may decide on the experimentation, bring various things in the classroom and ask children to do it themselves and experiment and see what is soluble in water and what is not soluble. In another case, if I want students to learn about horses, then I can plan a visit to a stable where children can see horses, children can talk to different people who take care of those horses and they can actually see what do horses eat, how do horses sleep and many other things about horses. So this kind of experience is a first-hand experience which is a field visit to that particular place. So after content, other thing is which help us in deciding about the teaching method is the nature of learner. Different learners, they learn differently and level of learning also dependent upon their age group. If I am deciding about a method for class 3 students, then it may be different from class 5 children. So teaching learning method depend upon the intellectual abilities of the learner, how they are thinking, what are their age group, how it's not very easy to decide, but in a class of 50 students, all children will learn by different ways. And as you must have observed that some are very good in handwriting, some are very good in observation, some are very good in presenting something, some are very good speakers. So there is different kinds of learner in the classroom. Yes, teachers need to choose method depending upon the learners. And in EVS, we always encourage teachers to plan activities where learners are active and they learn by getting engaged in that particular activity. So field visit, as I have asked you earlier, field visit is a visit outside your classroom, but it is always planned. It is not a free period and we will say let's go for a garden and see what are there. No, it has to be a well planned. It has to be linked to your objective. And if it is well planned and linked to the objective, then learning becomes meaningful to children and children will bring back the experiences in the classroom. So, the thing which I want you to remember is that field visit is not a picnic. Field visit is generally, treated as picnic, but no, number one. And the other important thing, any visit which is outside the classroom is called field visit. It can be to an open area in the school, it can be outside the school. So there is, no need to think about that, arranging a bus and going to a monument or going to some other places. A field visit to simple places like zoo, field visit to a simple place like mother dairy are the good experiences of field visit. Their field visit make learning meaningful, but it requires preparation. You should have a clarity that what is expected from field visit, what are students expected to observe, record and find out, how will they explain when they will return, what will they tell to the class. So a trip should be treated as a means of making observation and collecting data. So these are certain sites of field visit: zoo, garden, museum, post office, dispensary, mother dairy, monument, or any other thing which you think is closer to your school and where taking students to that place is not a hassle. For example, I have observed that students of class 5 went to a pond which is next to the school. So the pond becomes site of field visit. There are certain steps successful visit for planning a successful visit. Number 1, you set goals for the visit. What are the goals? The goals are determined by your educational objectives. For example, if you want students to learn about plants, then you can arrange a field visit to a nearby garden or to a school garden. Then, after deciding the site, then you have to think about what kind of activities arranged in that field visit site. Second step is planning for the program. So you have finalized that you will be taking children of your class to a nearby park. So planning for the program. You please go to that site and observe carefully what are different plants are there in that park. After you go and observe carefully, then after that you come back and decide how much time do you require for that field visit, what kind of activities children will do in those field visit sites. When you come back, in students, you brief them